Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install VirtualBox onto your host machine. Minimum requirements of the host machine: any desktop or laptop that has a dual core processor or higher, minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM or higher. The higher the specifications of the hardware, the better the experience. For those of you who have just joined us, we have already covered the process on how to download VirtualBox. So I've made it easier. I've attached a link below to the download, or alternatively, if you want, you may go back and watch the previous video on how to download. Now we go to the downloaded VirtualBox file. We will run the executable file and then we click next. So this is going to be the location where VirtualBox is installed. You may change the location if you choose, provided you have a good reason, but I'm going to leave it at default. So I'm just going to click next and then yes, and then install. Now the installation wizard will take over and it will do its magic. After completion, it will highlight a finish tab, which you then click, and this will automatically launch VirtualBox. And this is what VirtualBox looks like fresh from install. All right, the next step is to install guest operating systems. Things are getting interesting now. We're gonna install Windows Server 2012 on this video, and then on the upcoming video I'll be installing Windows 7 and Linux Ubuntu. Okay, this is what your VirtualBox manager will look like, except for one thing. If you look at the top left corner of my VirtualBox manager, there's a Win7 machine that's already been installed there. Just don't pay attention to that. I did install this while not recording, so just ignore it. We are gonna go ahead with our Windows Server 2012 installation. So that's what you need to focus on. On the next video, I will show you how I installed that Windows 7 machine. So for those that might be comparing what you see on your screen and what you see on my screen and a bit confused, that's the only reason. Other than that, everything is gonna be the same. You're just gonna follow what I do. So let's get to it. To add our machine, we are going to click on the new button, and then on that pop-up window there is a name box where we are going to enter the name that we assign to our machine. I will call it WinServer 2012. You can give it any name you want, but I prefer it to be something consistent. One thing to look out for is the last box at the bottom there. It says version, Windows 2012 64-bit. If you don't get a 64-bit version, then it means that on your host machine, virtualization is not enabled. That will require you to go to the BIOS menu, the BIOS setup, and activate virtualization. I will attach a link below that will guide you on how you achieve that. Now you click next. Next is just next. You take the default settings, next, and then create. All right. Well, at this point, even though we can see our Windows Server machine, it is still pretty much an empty shell. We have not yet installed the operating system. So basically, this will be an equivalent of actually buying hardware, putting it together, and having your physical PC being built, but without the operating system. So now what we're going to do is we are going ahead and install the operating system. So let's get to it. Make sure that the PC in question is highlighted. Windows Server 2012 is highlighted. You can see it's highlighted in blue. Then we're gonna go ahead and click the start button, which is the green arrow. This will power up the machine. On this pop-up, we are going to load our image file. This is the operating system we have downloaded. we are going to load it onto our virtual E drive. So you basically go look for it where you have saved it from the downloads. And open the file. Then you choose, make sure you choose the correct one in case you've got multiple images showing on that window there. And then you simply click on start to begin the installation. So basically you're booting the PC from the CD or the image. Now I'm just going to choose next, then install now. One more important thing on this page or on this window here is you need to select the second from the top. That is the standard evaluation server with graphic user interface, GUI. Now we're just gonna scroll down or just accept, then next. Then here we have to select custom, install Windows only, and from here on it's gonna start copying files. Basically it's gonna do the entire installation. Another thing to note is that the computer might restart more than once, so it's quite normal. You don't interrupt it. You should not ever try to manually restart it. It should be an automated process. You don't get involved, so just let it run. It's gonna take a couple of minutes, maybe even hours, depending on your operating system and also your hardware. So just be patient. Whenever it prompts you to press any key to boot from the CD, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna go back and reinstall the operating system again, because it's booting from the image disk we've loaded. So when it tells you that, you should just ignore that prompt. All right. Now it's asking us to add a password for the built-in administrator account. So all you need to do is to add the password. I don't think you can change the name. So we're going to leave it at that, administrator, and then we're going to enter our password. Also, I would advise that you save the password elsewhere, just so that you don't lock yourself out. That would be silly, wouldn't it? Enter the password that we have created just a few seconds earlier, and there you go. It's loading user settings, preparing Windows, and we should see our desktop. There we go. We have successfully installed Windows Server 2012 on our virtual box hypervisor. Join me on the next video where we will be adding Windows 7 and Linux computer on Active Directory.